What should you expect when you're buying a commercial investment property when it comes to the financial information? So, what does it mean? If I'm going out and I'm going to go buy an investment property, let's call it a 4-unit retail strip center, and I want to do my due diligence on that 4-unit strip center, that retail strip center over there. What am I expecting that the commercial broker is going to deliver to me to do my homework on this property, my financial homework? When you have all the documentation for a particular asset, that's called the deal room. That's where we're loading up the deal room with loads of documentation that we're going to be using during our due diligence process. The lender uses it, the buyer uses it. Now, most of you know this, but if you don't know this, let's just be super clear. What's the first thing I want to look at? The first thing I want to look at, rent roll. Okay, number one is the rent roll. I need to see my occupancy or my vacancy. I want to see who are the tenants. I want to know when their lease expirations are coming about, and I want to know what their rates are. Are they above market rate for their lease rates today, at market, or are they below market? If they're below market, then what do I want to do? I want to run a pro forma. I want to put them at market. What if they're above market? Okay? And by the way, how does something become above market? Well, the market goes up and the landlord leases it out at a premium, but when the market starts to shift and change, suddenly that unit that was renting for $1,800 a month is really $1,500 a month. Now, I don't want to be a buyer buying that unit and suddenly saying, you mean I'm adjusting my rents downward now? Oh my gosh, that might kill my debt service coverage ratio or everything else. So we start with the rent roll. Okay, that's going to give me the very first pictures in terms of what do I have to work with for gross income, right? That's really what it comes down to. What am I doing from there? From there, I want the next layer of information. Those are going to be my expenses. Now, I can get my expense information on a commercial investment real estate in a number of different ways. I can simply say, hey, listen, do you have the P&L statement? QuickBooks statement, for a lack of a better term. Do you have a P&L, profit and loss statement for that particular property? Sometimes people might use a Schedule E. Okay, maybe it's a 7-unit multifamily property and the owner says, you know what, use my Schedule E. We typically don't want to use tax information early in the process. Oftentimes, tax information kind of comes a little bit later in the due diligence process or with the lender's underwriting, things like that. But you get my point. If I've got the rent roll and I understand my lease rates, I understand my expiration, so I'm going to know my vacancy and the cost of my turnover, my leasing commissions on that retail building. Okay, now I start putting in my expenses so I can ultimately calculate my net operating income, right? That's what I want to do. I want to do all this right off the bat. Why? Well, why would we go through a purchase agreement and go through 60 days of underwriting only to discover that your debt service coverage ratio doesn't work? The lender's going to need a 1.25, and right off the bat, we're realizing we're at a 0.9. If something like that's not working, let's discover it really early on and let's move on to our next asset. So a good seasoned investor, we can do all of this very quickly so that we can make a good acquisition decision. Is this a smart buy? I'm going to know it right now, or I'm passing on it. Okay? And most smart investors, that is the way they operate. So you got the P&L, you got your rent roll, the leases are important. Sometimes we even get into the application, right? Because what's it about? You've heard me do videos on this, you guys, about tenant quality. So I talk a lot about tenancy and tenant quality. Why? Because that's what our income is based on. And I also want to know that when it comes to my leases. The leases, they're the ultimate. Why? They're the contract. This is what we live and die by. We live and die by the contract. That's the contract. So a rent roll is great as a preview, but now I'm going into my leases. And from there, that's where I want to understand, because it's saying, well, suddenly I just went through the leases and I thought the agent told me that the tenants were paying all the gas and electric, but what I'm seeing is actually the landlord's paying gas and electric and water, sewer, and suddenly those numbers, they're not quite as good as I thought because I reviewed the leases. That's the beginning, you guys. Those are the very first steps of what you're looking for in your financial packet. And I would be looking at that as early as I can in the process. For me, I want to be looking at it pretty much before I'm writing my purchase agreement. These are things that I want to be going through because why? This is what I'm basing my acquisition price on. I don't want to be filling in these blanks after I've got secured my purchase agreement, and then I need to go out and start doing what's called retrading, or looking for a concession, asking the seller to lower the price now, because we just discovered something that we really should have discovered early on. Make sure your agent, make sure your broker, make sure you as the buyer client are getting all of this satisfied. If you're selling the property, get these documents together, get them to your broker. Everyone's gonna save a lot of time and headaches when we have all of this together right out of the gate. So guys, I hope this helps you. I hope it gets you thinking about the preparation you need, whether you're a buyer or a seller. And listen, if you got questions for me, please reach out to me, mark@resultscommercial.com. Resultscommercial.com, that's our website. Guys, check it out. You might find some really good stuff there, but I would also love for you to subscribe to our channel if any of this information is helpful to you, investors, brokers, agents, anybody in my industry. More than anything, I really thank you for your time today. I appreciate it big time. Thank you so much.